NFL Week 7 parlays and player props. In this video, I have my two favorite player props for this weekend slate of action, as well as a touchdown parlay and so much more. If you already do, my name is Austin. Thank you as always for tuning in. And today I'm actually joined by a special guest, and he came out on Thursday. Let's talk all about him. The Broom, baby, a little 3-0 mini sweep for us on Thursday Night Football. One of the best games of the season. We had T. Higgins over in yards, had him up to 60 plus, and then we also cashed our plus 1650 long shot parlay. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Flacco all getting the job done. Overall, a pretty dang good Thursday for us to kick off Week 7. Let's continue that momentum going into this weekend. If that wasn't good enough for you, we also cashed our Chalkboard entry, 5.74 extra money. We love to see that. Reminder on Chalkboard, if you sign up using my code COS with a link down below, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100, 100%. And then they'll also give you a free pick, which this weekend it is Jalen Hurts. If you sign up after the 1 p.m. window, they believe it switches to Michael Penix. So again, you'll get a free pick regardless of who or when you sign up. It just depends on when that is. Again, here are all the states Chalkboards available in. You need to sign up using that code COS. The link is down below. But you know what? Let's just dive into things. I'll begin with my touchdown parlay of the week before getting some player props. We've been so close to hitting several of these. We cashed in week 2. Been a couple weeks just missed it by one leg. I love this one. Let's talk about these three guys. Quinshon Judkins. I love him. I love Keenan Allen, and I love Mike Evans. Those are my three favorite touchdown scorers. Now, obviously, I could have some better guys that are like minus 200, but at three guys around plus value, or a guy like Keenan Allen, who is severely mispriced, I believe, on FanDuel. But Quinshon Judkins, if we'll dive into each of them for just a second. Judkins back at home. He's the bell cow for this team, taking on the Dolphins, who we know have been one of the worst rush defenses in football. So even just looking at that game in a vacuum, you'd think Quinshon Judkins has a big game, and so do the books. His rushing yards line is at 90, like 3.5 now. But you also throw on some wind and some rain. Should be a nasty game. Judkins should get plenty of work. When they get in close, he should get the ball. Keenan Allen, like I said, he's like plus 140 on most books. FanDuel at plus 210. I'll take a chance on him. He's had a good touchdown streak to start the year. I don't think he scored in 2 straight games. Lad McConkey's been getting going. I think he'll have plenty of chances against a Colts team that they're going to have to throw it really to score. I don't really see Vidal or any of those guys having a big day on the ground. Justin Herbert will be slinging it, and I think he has a 24.5 completions line. I think Keenan has a chance of getting in there. And then we go to Monday night. Mike Evans should be making his return back against a Lions secondary, heavily banged up and with Brian Branch suspended. I love all these three guys. I played it for 0.25 units. If it does cash, we'll yield about 2.5 units. Let's cash one of those bad boys. That's the Week 7 touchdown parlay. Let's dive into some player props. As always, if you do not know, we do have an exclusive VIP service where you get some extra props and parlays and stuff like that, as well as the video plays that you are watching, where sometimes the lines are going to change in a negative direction for you all. But again, you can join $10 for your first month. This week, our VIP card consists of 2 1-unit player props. Will be any of my first quarter props, as well as a long shot parlay. I don't have necessarily the first quarter props listed because I haven't really bet any of them. They don't have a lot of lines as I'm looking at it right now. So I'll post those Sunday morning. We've been dialed in on those first quarter props. I'd love to have some for you all, but there's no lines right now as I record this on Friday afternoon. So again, you can join $10 for your first month, get all those free things, or get all those things, and get on in there, sweat out the ladder and all that stuff. Speaking of the ladder, that should already be posted by the time this video drops. We'll see. You can check that video out. Hopefully, we can smack that ladder. Cash day 10. That would be electric. Let's dive into some player props, though, that I love. And we'll start with this guy. Guy that owes us some money, I'd argue. Saquon Barkley. I love his over 17.5 rushing attempts at plus 104 on DraftKings. Now, this is a 1-unit play. You could, and depending on when you're watching this, there might be a 16.5 line out there for Saquon. I don't mind the 16.5. It was about minus 130, minus 135. Honestly, yeah, maybe pick him up to one more rush attempt could be the difference. Maybe that's how we lose. But it also, 16.5 was not available on a bunch of books, where 17.5 was the line on most books. So I'll track the more widely available line. If he ends on 17, whatever, I'll take the L to the chin. But I love the plus 104 value here on Saquon on the road, taking on the Vikings. Now, if you haven't watched a Vikings game this season, or you don't know any of the stats, the Vikings have allowed the most running back rush attempts in football. I think they're at like 25 per game. And we've seen so far this season, running back rush attempts. Here's kind of the team's combined ones, if you will. The Bears in week 1 at 17 versus Minnesota. The Falcons, 38 in week 2. The Bengals, 19. Steelers in week 4, 25. And then the Browns, week 5, 29. They had a bye week last week. So again, you've seen on average over 25 plus rush attempts for running backs against the Vikings. And it doesn't surprise a lot of people when you look at how their defense has shown up against a bunch of other the pass catchers and the QBs because they're allowing the second fewest passing yards in the NFL. So that's up pretty well to run the football. And we know the Eagles are coming off 2 straight losses. The most notable one was on Thursday night against the Giants, where they just got their teeth kicked in. I think they show up here with a mini bye week, if you will, a longer week of rest and recovery. Saquon's got to be used a little bit more effectively. And we saw him start the season going over this prop, having 18 plus rush attempts in weeks 1 through 4. The last week, week 5, you saw them against the Broncos, where it was like, hey, we're just going to throw it 600 times. And then we had that game and that blowout loss to the Giants. I think they get back to doing what they do best. It's running the football. And I think Saquon could have a big day. I like the rush attempts. I also like his rush yards. I'll give you a spoiler. If you watch Saturday's night video where we talk about more player props and parlays, I have Saquon in there for 100 plus rush yards in a long shot parlay. Encourage you to check that video out. But I'll take his rush attempts for 1 unit. I'll sprinkle on the 100 plus. I think he finally has his big day. I mean, heck, you saw Thursday night open up Jalen Warren and Chase Brown both getting 100 plus. Maybe this is the week of the running backs. And I certainly think Saquon Barkley is going to get involved here. Give me his over. Let's move to another guy who I think could get 100 plus rush yards, Jonathan Taylor. 100 plus rush yards at plus 145 on DraftKings. Now, I'm well aware that this is not his regular line. I think his regular line is around 88 to 91.5. But I'm of the mindset, you know what? Could I take Jonathan Taylor at 88.5 or whatever it is for 1 unit? Yeah, but you're going to take minus 115. Whereas if I can take the 100 plus, which is whatever, 11 more yards for plus 145, I'm going to lean towards that. I do think if Jonathan Taylor goes over his regular line at the low 90s, he's probably getting 100 plus. If he doesn't, I chalk it and tip my hat and just say, chalk it up to the game. But I love this matchup for him on the road, taking on the Chargers. Now, if you watched last week's video, and if you did, I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. If you didn't, you better hit that like and subscribe button. You would know we were on Devon Achane's over in rushing and receiving yards. And who did he play in that game? Against the Chargers. Again, this has been a system play for me over the last few weeks. Is you just back the running backs against the Chargers. Why? Because this team's great at stopping the pass, but they've really struggled on the ground. And let's just talk about it. The Chargers in the air, second lowest success rate per dropback. Third fewest yards per pass attempt, fourth fewest passing yards in general. So again, they've been really good at stopping teams from throwing the football. Where they've struggled is on the ground. Just look at the running backs against them. Since, like week 3, we saw Dobbins in week 3 with 11 carries, only 11. He had 83 yards. We saw in week 4, Scattaboo, Giants offense, not necessarily the most electric, 25 rushes for 79 yards. Week 5, that was the Bill Krosky-Merritt breakout game, 14 for 111. And then last week, Devon Achane, 16 carries for 128 rushing yards. So again, we've seen these guys put on big days, and arguably no one's running the football better than Jonathan Taylor in this Colts offense as of late. Have you seen Taylor so far this season? You might be like, Austin, he's not soaring over this line. And I don't disagree with you, but he has gone over this line in 3 of 6 games. The misses, 2 of them. One of them was week 1 where they smacked the Dolphins, and Jonathan Taylor really didn't play much in the second half. Another one of the misses was against the Raiders where they smacked them and he didn't play the whole game. So let's just say, he's gone over this line 100 plus in 3 of 4 games in which it was somewhat competitive. I don't expect the Colts to go in to LA and just smack the Chargers around. They're definitely looking for a little bit of revenge coming back to the stadium where they lost against the Rams, the only other game where Jonathan Taylor did not get this job done. And the Rams have been one of the best, explosive defenses in league. They're really limiting those explosive plays. I think Jonathan Taylor could go nuclear on Sunday. I don't really like involving him with receiving yards. I think if he gets it done, it's on the ground. But again, this is a guy, Jonathan Taylor, since the start of 2024, he's only had 1 game where he went over and finished in the 90s. So if I'm going to back him, give me the plus 145 value for a unit. I think he could go absolutely berserk on Sunday against the Chargers if that game is remotely close. If the game gets out of hand where the Colts are down by 2+ touchdowns, then yeah, fine. He won't get it done. But I think this is a spot where he can have a huge day. I'll roll with JT, Jonathan Taylor, 100 plus rushing yards, plus 145. JT, hope your Colts stay competitive. Also, should be down Josh Downs as well. They're elite corner or slot corner. So again, should see Jonathan Taylor with a big workload. His rush attempts line is in like the 18.5 to 20.5 range. So give me JT to have a big day. Finally, we end this video with our chalkboard slip. A reminder. Talked about chalkboard early on in the video. If you are new, make sure you sign up using my code COS. Number 1, it helps support the channel. Number 2, you get this free pick. Number 3, you also get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So you deposit, let's say $10, they'll give you an extra 10. Deposit 25, give you an extra 25, so on and so forth, all the way up to $100. All right. Here's my chalkboard slip. Here's the guys I'm rolling with. And let's see if we can go back to back like we did on Thursday. Let's cash on Sunday. Let's talk with these guys. Quinshon Judkins to score a touchdown. We already talked with him. I also like him for 70+ rush yards. I'll be honest, I was going to take his regular line, but it is severely bumped up from the 80s. I was looking at like 82.5 all the way up to 93.5. I'm just not getting there. I think he gets 70 at least. I don't mind his regular line. You can maybe get 100+. I like Saquon more than 16.5 rush attempts. Again, that is a line available on a bunch of books. It is available here on Chalkboard, so I'll take the 16.5. Obviously, I like it at 17.5. And then Jonathan Taylor, 100+ rush yards there. You can 5.99 extra money. Also, something cool about Chalkboard is at like 10 a.m. Eastern time, they give you boost and stuff. So you can throw a boost on there. I didn't have any to use, but you certainly can if you want to. Let's try to cash our Chalkboard slip once again. Thank you as always for tuning in. A couple of videos will be popping up on the channel on the screen. I'll link one up here. That'll be our game picks video. Down here should be day 10 of the ladder challenge. That should be live by the time you're watching this. And then we'll have another player props video live Saturday evening. When that is live, I'll link it on the other side. They'll all be linked. Go check out the videos. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's have a wonderful week 7. Let's continue what we did on Thursday. And again, if you want some exclusive plays, you can join the Dub Club. We have 2 props. We'll have some first quarter lines. We'll have some long shots only available there. And get on in there. $10 for your first month. NBA, only a few days away. Excited for that. Let's have ourselves a weekend. I'll see you guys back again in the next one. It's Austin signing out. See you.